Welcome back to Tiny Track Cars, everybody. We have the first ever night race here at the TTC Open Circuit, and we are kicking it off with the Ultra HOTS. The Hot Wheels Ultra HOTS, looking good with their Spectra Flame paint. In group number 1, we have the S14 Silvia with the missing front bumper because that is a drift car. And then in the second spot, we have the 1968 Mercury Cougar, followed by a beautiful green Datsun 510 Bluebird, I believe. And last in this group, we have the Porsche 934.5 in a beautiful orange. However, it looks kind of red on my screen. Maybe my color is off just a little bit. We head right into race number 1. These drivers are going to have a hard time seeing. It is night, and these cars do not have headlights. They're only racing by the street lights that we have added to this TTC Open Circuit. And folks, let me tell you, there's a second jump now in this track right here. The drivers will take a second jump. We have added that second jump to get ready for our rally tournament that is up and coming here at the Tiny Track Cars Open Circuit, and featured in our Diecast Racing League at tinytrackcars.com, where you can enter, pick some cars, win some points, earn some points, and win some prizes. Head on over to tinytrackcars.com to check that out. We missed an exciting race number 1. It was the Nissan Silvia that took first place, and he is the first one over the jump in race number 2 as well. We have the Mercury Cougar right behind him and the Datsun behind him. Sliding over the jump they go. The S14 is backwards down across the finish line. S14, Cougar, Datsun 510, and a Porsche 934.5, which we probably don't expect to do that well because those Porsches just don't do well on these tracks. Real life, that thing would whoop these cars on the track, but Diecast World, not so much. Third race to go. They're dying over the track. They're all 4 on their tires. That is 8 tires touching the ground. It's the Datsun out front. Over the second jump they go. Something happens. The S14 jumps and hits a light post with the side of his car and flies completely off the track. Wait a second, he's still on the track. He's getting pushed by the other cars. The Porsche, and then the Mercury Cougar, and then the S14 comes across the finish line in last place. They rotate one position clockwise. It's the Cougar out in that front, in the far lane. Will he make it to the jump first and take 4 points in this race? Again, these points for this race is 4, 3, 2, 1, and a 0 if you don't finish. Over the jump they go. The Silvia slides sideways, drifting like he knows how to do, but folks, that's not the fastest way down the track. The Mercury Cougar is showing you his speed and the fastest way on the track, spinning around sideways over that second jump into the last turn. Is he going to be able to throw it in reverse and take the win in this race? Down in that dip he goes and across the finish line for 4 points, followed by the Porsche, the Datsun, and the S14 Silvia. Moving on to the next round, we have the Mercury Cougar and the Datsun 510, over only 1 point over that Nissan S14. Who's in the second group? Let's find out right now. What are your guesses? There's 16 Ultra HOTS in this tournament, and the next car in group number 2 is the Volkswagen SP2. Second car in this group is the Honda Civic Si in beautiful blue. VTEC, yo. And then we have the Ford Escort RS 1600 in a gold color. And then last but not least in this, maybe last but not least, maybe that, we'll give him a chance. It's the Chevy Chevelle. I don't know why I turned into a Mr. Announcer voice like that. They're out of there for race number 1. It's the SP2 out in front. That's the Volkswagen. Down over the jump they go. The Ford RS 1600 almost jumps over him, but this Volkswagen is able to stay out in front, getting bumped by the Ford. Over the second jump they go. The Ford slides sideways. The Volkswagen slides sideways. Look at that action there. Into the last turn they go. Will that Ford be able to cross the finish line first, or the Volkswagen take it? It's the Volkswagen, then the Ford, then the Honda, and then the Chevy. What do you guys think about night racing here at the TTC Open Circuit? If you like it, let me know in the comments. If you like it, do a shaka bra emoji. Drop a shaka bra emoji in the chat. I personally love it, and we're going to stick with it for a couple events here at Tiny Track Cars Open Circuit. Oh my gosh, the Ford RS 1600 bounces off of that light and spins around sideways, flipping and spinning and landing on his roof. Gets hit by the SP2 down across the finish line. Can he finish in first despite being upside down? I don't know who crossed the finish line first. Let's slow it down for you and watch it right there. It looks like he still might have taken the win despite being on his roof. Civic in second, and then third and fourth by the other cars. Next race to go. They're out of there. Again, this is 2 cars moving on to the next round. That is round number 2. And folks, this track right here is getting more and more technical with the extra jumps. That jump is a little unpredictable. You know why? Because it's an open lane, open track jump. That means the cars aren't necessarily going perfectly straight when they take off the launch of that jump, meaning anything can happen. And folks, we've already seen 2 cars hit a light post and spin out. Luckily, the Ford RS 1600 was able to still take the victory after hitting the post, but it's not been the same for all the cars. In reverse is the Honda Civic SI getting hit by the Chevelle. The Chevelle passing over that second jump. The Chevelle on the inside. Can he get by the Honda? Chevelle out front, down across the finish line. It's the Chevelle, the Civic, and SP2. Moving on with 12 and 10 points, we have the Honda and, sorry, not the Honda, the Volkswagen SP2 and the Ford RS 1600. I personally like that Ford RS 1600, even though I am not a Ford guy. I like rally cars. Probably one of my favorite kinds of cars is rally cars in this world, and maybe we'll add more and more jumps to this track. That Ford RS 1600 is looking good. Next, we have an AE86. We have a Buick Grand National. We have a Ford Fairmont, and we have a BMW 3.0 CSL something bobbity boo. We'll call it the BMW. We'll call it the Beamer, or the Bimmer, or the Beamer, or the BMW, or whatever I call it. The grayish blue car. We know those AE86s can be fast in this track, but can he hold out that Ford Fairmont? The Grand National, which we also know is a super incredible car on these tracks. Over the jump they go. It's the A86 sliding sideways, drifting, but getting passed by the Ford Fairmont. The Ford Fairmont takes it by a quarter of a car in 4 points in race number 1 here in this group. Look at that pass, taking the inside on that AE86 and putting some more points on the board. Also, if you guys notice, we did shuffle around the finish line dioramas just a little bit. We have the WRC, the Monster Energy WRC diorama at the finish line because, folks, this track is now in rally mode with 2 jumps and 2 dips and all sorts of unpredictable action here on the Diecast Racing Tiny Track Cars Circuit Extravaganza built by Spoolheads Racing. If you want a track like this, I'll tell you what to do. Go down in the description, and there's a thing about Spoolheads Racing. Click on that link, go to the website, and buy some track. Also, there's a promo code. If you use code TTC, you will get 5% off your order. So if you're going to order from spoolheads.com, use my promo code, get some money off, and you build yourself a cool track just like this. And if you do, share it with me. I want to see it. I want to see the cool concoctions, the cool builds you guys come up with. It's the BMW off that light post. That light post has proven to be a problem in this track layout night mode action. I'm personally loving this night mode. It adds a cool vibe to the room. It shows off the room just a little bit, but not too much. There's still some dark, mysterious parts of the room that we see and hide. Or just see. Hide and seek. Maybe there's ghosts back there. Maybe there's dinosaurs. I hide dinosaurs in my room. Spoilers. Down across the finish line they go. It is the Grand National. And folks, we have a BMW that's out and an 886 that's out. We have the Ford Fairmont and the Grand National moving on. 2 American cars beating the 2 non-American cars, Japanese and Euro, aka German. Speaking of JDM cars, we have the Honda City Turbo in this group, and then we have the Porsche 935, and then we have a Nissan Fairlady. Last but not least in this group, we have a GT500 Shelby. That is a Ford. And folks, those gold Fords, I tell you, they're movers and groovers out there. They're movers and shakers, you know what I mean? We have a short wheelbase car of the Honda City Turbo 2. We'll see how that does. And the Porsche 935 with that super wide body and low front lip. I'm not sure how that car is going to do. My prediction is the GT500 moves on, and then the Nissan Fairlady. I don't think the City Turbo or the Porsche is going to move on. Although I am a Porsche guy, don't get me wrong, I love my Porsches, but not necessarily that casting of that 935. Into the next race they go. Back to the starting line, they rotate 1 position. Again, remember that if you are playing in our Diecast Racing League at tinytrackcars.com, you picked one of these 16 cars in this tournament, and you will be earning points. Well, you'll only be earning points if your car finishes in the top 4 positions. Hey, it's free to play. Head to tinytrackcars.com, go get signed up for the Diecast Racing League, earn some points, and we're giving away free stuff at the end of the season. Some of those free things are a $100 Spoolheads gift card for first place position. We're still building out the prizes. It's going to include Tiny Track Cars merch and Hot Wheels cases and all sorts of extra stuff. Each season is 20 weeks long, and we are well into this season, but anything can happen. All it takes is a few wins and you're right back in the standings. And plus, it's super fun and you can compete with your friends. So just go do it. Go sign up right now, or else what? Or else we'll write you a letter telling you how angry we are. Hans Bricks, you're busting my balls, Hans. All right, back to the racing. It's the GT500. Into turn number 2 and across the jump he goes. Excellent air, landing perfectly smooth and sliding into turn number 3. Turn number 4 he goes. How will he handle the second jump? Over the jump he goes. Into the last turn. No one is even in sight. The Ford GT500 crosses the finish line and takes 4 points in this race. If you hear an animal munching on food, it's not an animal. It's my daughter, Emery. She decided to walk in the room right here, and she's eating some food very close to the microphone. And now we have 2 little critters. Both my kids are right here with me. Because my biggest supporters are my kids and my wife in Tiny Track Cars. I'm also saying next my wife walked in. But they do support me in this Diecast racing shenanigans, and I really appreciate that, and I love them for that. I don't know if they can hear you. You got to talk very close to the mic.
Aww.
That was actually my wife. It wasn't in the voiceover or anything AI generated. I think she likes me. Down across the finish, then they go, and I don't even know what kind of car that was because it's night mode and I can hardly see in... Okay, that's enough. Bye, kids. I love you. We're leaving that in there. All right, that was the Mercury Cougar. This is round number 2. When did we get into round number 2? The Cougar over the jump he goes. Out front, SP2 right behind him. And what else? What other cars do we have in this round number 2? It's the Datsun 510 and the other car that's on his roof. I think that's the RS 1600. Sliding sideways over that second jump, it's the Cougar down across the finish line for 4 points. Folks, we did swap this finish line out with a 3D printed finish line versus the tape we had on the finish line before. And the finish line section actually had normal height sidewall. So we swapped out the whole finish straightaway with normal height sidewall. So we are getting a few less crashes and few less splats and splutters at the finish line. The fans love it because they're not dying, but the fans watching the race love it because they're not dying. But the fans on the internet, they wanna see the splats. They wanna see the people get hit, I think. Do you? Do you want to see people get hit? Or do you like nice, clean races? I'm not sure what that was. It looked like Abominable Snowman there put his finger in front of the camera and decided that he wanted to bump the camera before that instant replay. Excuse that. We'll leave that in there. And the next race to go, it's the Datsun 510 out front getting pushed by the Mercury Cougar. Datsun 510 almost too nose heavy. It's the Datsun 510 out front, the Cougar right behind still. Datsun 510 sideways getting hit by the Cougar. Now they're all sideways. All 4 cars are sideways sliding into the last turn. Down across the finish line they go. SP2 hardly making it across. The Cougar moves on. The Datsun 510 moves on to the finals. What 2 cars are gonna move on with them? It will be the Grand National. It will be the Ford Fairmount. It will be the Honda City Turbo 2 or the GT500. Let's head over to that side of the bracket and start this race. Did you pick any of these cars? Are you still in the race or were you eliminated in the first round? We want to know. I want to know. Tell me. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. The Ford Fairmount looking super fast, but getting hit by that GT500. The GT500 pass. He does pass with only inches left of the track as they cross the finish line. He takes 4 points, and I believe he was in the back the right position, which is not the ideal position to be in for a win, but he was able to pull it out. He's pushing that Honda City Turbo 2, sliding sideways. Will he be able to pass the Honda City Turbo 2? It looks like he has way more speed, but will he be able to maneuver around that little car that is clearly swerving and merving all over the track? I don't know what merving is, but I said it. All right, next race to go. I think this is the 3rd race out of the 4. It is the Ford Fairmount and the GT500 out front early. It seems that Honda City Turbo 2 is holding up the pack. I'm not sure if that car should have even been in this race. We've seen that GT500 get some massive air and get perfect and land perfectly on the track. He seems to have the control he needs to win this thing. Will a Ford win this tournament? moment of silence if that happens for everybody else that hates on Fords. Hey, Hot Wheels doesn't discriminate. They build a diecast car like a diecast car. And believe it or not, although real Fords are terribly unreliable, the diecast ones are perfectly fine. Specifically the Mustangs. Honda City Turbo 2 comes across the finish line, and it's the Ford Fairmount and the Ford Mustang Shelby GT Ford 500 Ford GT 500. All right, we have a Mercury Cougar, a Datsun 510, a Ford Fairmount, and a Ford GT 500, or Shelby GT 500. Carroll Shelby Ford. Did he marry a Ford, or is Carroll his wife? I know Carroll is a guy. Jeez. All right. The Mercury Cougar is out front in this finals, folks. This is the last 4 races of the Ultra HOTS tournament. Let me tell me what. Do you like the second jump in the track? Do you like the night racing? Do you like any of these cars? The super, super flashy Ultra HOTS here in Tiny Track Cars Open Circuit. Second race to go. The Mercury Cougar is out front again. That Cougar has been fast as ever. He slides sideways. The Ford Fairmount bounces off a post. The Cougar's still in reverse, but the Ford GT 500 makes the pass on both the cars. Down over the jump they go into the last turn. The Shelby GT 500 down across the finish line for 4 more points, followed by the Cougar, the Fairmount, and no Datsun 510 was found in that finish line, or by that finish line, or around that finish line, in or around my mouth. Over the jump they go. It's the GT 500 landing smooth again, but the Datsun right in his tail. I think a car's on the roof. Is there a car on his roof? It's hard to tell in night mode. There's lots of shiny objects. The bottoms of the cars are shiny, the tops of the cars are shiny, and sometimes it's all just dark and I can't see anything. The GT 500 does take 4 more points, and yes, there is a car on its roof. Unfortunately, that car is going to get 0 points. It seems pretty consistent. The Ford Fairmount and the Ford GT 500 have been running smooth, but don't leave that Mercury Cougar out of it, folks. The Mercury Cougar couldn't come back and win. You never know. The GT 500 is into the last turn, up over that jump and sliding sideways and taking 4 more points, showing off just a little bit, sliding sideways across the finish line. And folks, by a landslide, the Shelby GT 500 takes the win in the Ultra Hot tournament. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go check out your points at tinytrackcars.com if you're playing in a Diecast Racing League.